We're talking some baseball issues, and every Wednesday, of course, we bring in our ace, the man who has been covering baseball for a really long time. You read his stuff on The Athletic. He's got a podcast called Starkville. He is always in demand for his baseball acumen and knowledge behind the scenes, and he always discovers the weird and wacky, like catcher's interference 2 straight days in a row. One that's a walk-off winner. He's the great Jayson Stark. Hello, Jason.
Mike.
How's it going today? You feeling good?
I have catcher's interference on my brain, but I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was saying yesterday that there's a flaw in that rule. First of all, you shouldn't be awarded first base on catcher's interference. It should be a ball, just like a balk is to a hitter. And second of all, there should be a rule that says you can't get a walk-off win with catcher's interference. Are you on board with that, Jason?
Well, it's not a thing that has ever come up, except for one time that we know of, right?
Yes, and it was distasteful. The Phillies won the game, and it was distasteful. I'm going, what?
It was distasteful. It was bizarre, but it was distasteful.
It was distasteful. I don't think you earn a win with catcher's interference.
Edmundo Sosa knew where the glove was and managed to hit it with his bat when he wasn't even planning to swing. It was pretty strategic and innovative.
You think he thought about that?
No, I do, actually. I do.
Do you really?
I do. I do. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I would love to get into with you on this.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about, that was Edmundo Sosa's first walk-off RBI. And, you just asked me if I thought he earned it. And it is, it's a good question, because think about this, Mike. He put no balls in play. He didn't walk. He didn't get hit by a pitch. He didn't get credit for an at-bat. He didn't even make contact with the pitch that ended the game. And he still got the first walk-off RBI of his career.
That's what I'm talking about. It's an oddity of baseball that should be not loopholed. You know, there's a loophole of winning. I'm telling you, the rule would be simple. First of all, if catcher's interference only gets ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, whatever it is, ball 4, you shouldn't be rewarded by getting a base.
Yeah, well, catcher's interference is becoming way more of a thing in the sport than it used to be because of framing.
Yeah.
Because catchers now set up closer to the hitter,
mm-hmm.
and they're constantly reaching and jabbing that glove to try to make pitches look like a strike. And so we've seen the rate of catcher's interference explode. And I don't think anybody wants games decided by catcher's interference, but hitters do deserve the right to be able to swing the bat without the catcher's glove getting in the way.
They do. They do, and that's why I'm saying it should be ball. It should be ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Can I tell you just how rare this has been the last 2 days?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I do. These things happen just for my benefit, and then I go down the rabbit hole in Baseball Reference. So I went back to 1920, because that's really about how far back reliable play-by-play data goes. In all that time, Mike, 105 years, how many runs would you guess the Phillies have scored on any kind of catcher's interference until this series? So this is over a century. How many?
2.
Okay, you're a little high. It's 1. They scored 1 run.
1.
It happened in 1965. Pat Corrales was the batter. He later went on to manage the Phillies.
Yes.
Tom Haller of the Giants was the catcher. And it was a game they were losing 15-4 at the time. That's the only time it had ever happened. The Red Sox, by the way, had only allowed 1 run on catcher's interference in all that time.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 runs score on catcher's interference, not just in 2 straight games, but 2 straight innings, the 10th and the 1st last night. Baseball is amazing, to quote Tom McCarthy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It really is. All right, let's talk about the guy last night who pitched, which it leads me to a bigger, because people go, well, the Phillies aren't complete enough to get through the playoffs. But they have a second ace. That guy is practically unhittable at this stage, Christopher Sanchez. And so we're talking about Wheeler and Sanchez in a 3-game series. It's pretty hard to beat, don't you think?
Well, if you're going to make your argument for why the Phillies can win the World Series, you definitely start with those two guys in particular and the rotation in general. I talk a lot to people from other teams about the Phillies, and I hear this over and over. Like they're the one team that these other teams play, other good teams, and say every night it feels like they've got a better pitcher than us. And with Wheeler and Sanchez, nobody's got two guys like this from the left side and the right side who can just dominate a game in various ways, very different ways. I mean, Wheeler can do it in just with his fastball if he wants, or he can mix it up if he wants. Christopher Sanchez, I mean, with that sinker, guys don't square it up, and then with the changeup, if you saw any of the quotes coming out of the Red Sox clubhouse last night, they were geared up for that changeup. They knew that was the pitch that they needed to find some way to hit, and it's the movement on that pitch and the way he tunnels the sinker and the changeup out of the same slot makes it impossible for guys to hit that pitch hard. It's amazing to watch. Amazing.
Yeah, it really. And you look at it. Let's do some simple math here. 2 of 3 with those guys. 4 of 7 with those guys. That's pretty good odds, right? That's what it takes to win a series.
Right. And then you had another guy in Ranger who I know he had a clunker, and it's hard to know whether he's hurt or tired or bored or whatever. But assuming that he's okay, that's a guy who had a sub-2 ERA for over 2 months. And, I mean, I think Luzardo probably winds up in the bullpen in the first round. Yep. But then Aaron Nola looms in there somewhere after a long reset. They're positioned in a way no other team in the sport is to beat you in October because nobody wants to face them.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Now, that's not going to stop people from wanting to make a trade here. So let me just, before we get to that, and that's a lot of substance in that, a couple things have happened where it's ruined my purity of baseball. One was the catcher's interference winning it, and the other was Kyle Schwarber getting the MVP by not putting a ball in play in the regular game. But let's talk about Schwarber because it's interesting. There's no way that a team, in my opinion, can lose a 40-plus home run guy in their lineup. They just can't. So what's happening with the Schwarber deal in your mind?
I think he winds up back here. I think he thinks he winds up back there. Like if you heard him talk after he won that All-Star MVP, he talked about the All-Star game in Philly next year and how much fun it will be. And I thought, well, that's interesting. He's not even under contract here for next year. But I think it's an indication he has a hard time envisioning himself not being here.
Yeah.
And I think this front office has a hard time envisioning that. Here's the key. I think other front offices do too. I was talking to a GM earlier this month. This guy's team needs offense. We were running through how bad the free agent bat market looks this winter, with a couple of exceptions. And he didn't even mention Schwarber's name. So I said, well, what about Schwarber? And he said, we're just assuming they're not going to let him get away. We're just assuming they will pay whatever it takes to keep him. And I think that's right. At this point, just like when they approached him before the season, he was kind of curious what his market value is. And so look, it's almost August. He's going to find out. He's going to file for free agency, and he's going to find out. He should.
So he is determined to file for free agency, and because I'm saying maybe the Phillies get ahead of ahead of this process here and not let that happen.
I don't think it's realistic. Try to think of any player, star player, this close to free agency who then said, "Nah, never mind." I don't think that happens. I think he gets out there, but I do think he wants to be here, and they will pay what it takes to keep him here. I don't think in their minds they can let him get away. But when they talked before the season, my understanding is his position is you would have to really overwhelm me to keep me from at least going out there and finding out. And then he's had a season that has backed that up. And I think he made himself some money in that All-Star game. I mean, I can tell you, the legend of Kyle Schwarber grew that night.
Yeah. Oh, so if they say 4-year extension, $25 million per, would that overwhelm him?
That's what I've been saying. $100 million for 4. That I don't know. There's no precedent for him.
Yeah.
Go back and look. There's no comparable player who doesn't play the field and does what he does on and off the field. I don't know what the comp is. Now, Giancarlo Stanton, back when he signed the big deal in Miami, which was, a whole different situation, but that's the closest, and he was, guess what, $25 million a year. Yeah. I think that's about the right rate, and I think 4 years is about the right number of years. It's actually a little too much, but you're going to have to pay it.
Yeah, let's get that done. Let's get it done. All right, let's get to the meaty stuff here. Everybody's making deals. We do a Let's Fake a Deal segment every day now at 11 o'clock. So the question, everybody thinks they need the bullpen guy and the slugger. What say you, and what's the biggest priority at this particular time if it's not both?
Yeah, I think it's bullpen, and my gut feeling from the people I've talked to is that Dave is lining up his biggest chips to trade for some big-time power bullpen arm that he can control beyond this year and fix this bullpen beyond this year. I'm not saying he won't get a bat, but if he gets one, it's probably just a right-handed part of a platoon and probably someone that just falls into his lap. So, I've dropped these names on you before. Johan Duran, or Felix Bautista, guys like that. Someone else could pop out there. They've been told by the A's they don't see themselves trading Mason Miller, for example. They don't think the Guardians are serious about Emmanuel Clase, but that kind of guy. And so, is arm over bat the right call? I think it is, Mike. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but if you start going through the last 3 Octobers and why they have not won the World Series, I know offense has been a culprit, but I think it's a bullpen thing. I want you to think about Jose Alvarado giving up the homer to Yordan Alvarez last game of the World Series in 2022. They're winning that game. Think about Craig Kimbrell in 2023. Not for too long, but think about that. They win that series in 5 if they have a better option than him.
Yeah.
Think about the 9th inning of Game 1 against the Mets last year. Wheeler is, historically great for 8 innings. If they win that game and then they win the next day, they're up 2-0 in a best-of-5. Everything is different. And so I've mentioned this. Other teams, when they talk about them, say that team can win the World Series because their rotation is better than anybody's. But they have to fix the bullpen. I've heard that term multiple times. I think Dave is using it internally. I agree.
All right. We'll see what happens. I always leave you with a quirky little thing. I don't know if you watched the basketball tournament.
I watched 1/4 of one game of it with Boeheim's Army.
Yeah, you know that Boeheim's Army was upset by We Are D3 on their home floor in front of Boeheim last night.
Yeah, 2 nights ago, but yeah.
2 nights ago.
Yeah, that was really enjoyable. they let a kid who I'd never heard of score
34.
36?
Yeah,
38?
yeah, somewhere. Poor Jim was coaching for the sidelines too. He didn't like it. We do this with Jayson because Jason's a proud Syracuse member.
Yeah, well, this is how Syracuse basketball has looked and felt for way too long anyway. So thanks for tormenting me.
That's all right. They needed DC last night, I think. All right. All right, Jayson, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
Great to talk to you, Mike.
There he is, the great Jayson Stark joining us. He joins us every Wednesday. So there you go, Ray. Not a bat, an arm is the bigger priority. You all right with that?
It should be the bigger priority. But much like we say in the Let's Fake a Deal intro,
let's do both.
Why not both?
Let's do both. 610-632-0975. We get to Nick and Brian and your text after this.
Thanks for watching. I love these outro videos because I can actually talk with my hands and it looks normal here. So subscribe right here and watch some more videos for us. How about it?